Hello again, good to have you with us. Now, they say it is never too late to learn. Well, a group of friends at an elderly people's home in Vienna are proving just that. These pioneering pensioners have been brewing artisan beers that are rich in history, and business is booming, as Ben Turner reports.
There's something special brewing in this old people's home in Austria's capital of Vienna. Despite being well into their 80s, these pensioners are making batches of hipster beers that are proving a hit with the elderly residents. The group, who have no brewing experience, pioneered their so-called Grandma and Grandpa beer 2 years ago. And after seeing a surge in demand, they're now brewing a new light lager, all in the confines of their retirement home.
We meet up and enjoy talking about brewing beer, and we make jokes about it. Like this, another day goes by, and it's a nice day.
We have a wide-ranging system of care in our retirement homes. Brewing beer is just another project that creates meaningful activities where the residents can stay engaged and active.
The beers are based on a Viennese recipe from 1841 and use only Austrian ingredients. And the future is looking bright for the residents, as already over 30 retirement homes across Vienna are selling the beers. Ben Turner, Euronews.
Well, cheers to them. Well, we leave you now with a no comment from Turkey, where diving teams are capturing breathtaking footage of the HMS Majestic shipwreck, which was destroyed during the Gallipoli campaign in 1915. Thanks for watching Euronews Tonight.
Actually, some of the people think that Hungary doesn't have any place in it anymore. But in reality, we have to face extreme inflation. The rates were high, like record high, like now here in Hungary, more than 10%. We never experienced it during the Orban government, so in the last 12 years. So the experts telling that the only one way how we can stop the weakening of the forint is somehow agree with the European Union and get that 15 billion euros fund, what Orban Viktor thinks that we deserve. So actually, this was the worst moment and the worst move what he could do.
All right, there, correspondent Zoltán Siporsegi reporting from Budapest for us. Thanks a lot, Zoltán. Well, the global monkeypox outbreak has not reached its peak. That is according to scientists advising the World Health Organization. WHO Europe has predicted there could be over 27,000 cases by the 2nd of August. That's a jump from up to 18,000 infections that have so far been reported in 78 countries, the majority of cases currently in Europe. Now, monkeypox usually causes mild to moderate symptoms, but around 10% of patients have been hospitalized. Well, a recent study from the New England Journal of Medicine has found that 98% of confirmed cases of monkeypox so far have occurred in men who have sex with men. And this has sparked a new row on social media over whether targeted messaging about the virus to members of the LGBTQI+ community is homophobic. Our team in The Cube has the story.
Well, Helena, a rather fierce debate has been going on Twitter over this issue. Some social media users like this one have criticized the way in which monkeypox has been portrayed as a gay disease, much like the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. And for example, this article by the Daily Mail has been slammed on Twitter for encouraging homophobia. Now, this whole social media discourse has really frustrated certain prominent LGBTQ figures on the platform. For example, Owen Jones, who is a British journalist. According to him, it's not homophobic to point out that it is men who have sex with men who are at a higher risk of catching the disease. What he believes is needed is a non-judgmental messaging to help this group get prioritized access to healthcare. Now, it's important to note that monkeypox is not a sexually transmitted disease. However, it is possible to catch it through close physical contact or through, for example, contaminated materials such as bedding. But what's the best approach towards a non-stigmatized public health messaging? Well, we asked this question to TJ Pax Hardy, a field epidemiologist and prominent TikToker.
Gay men and bisexual men and transgender women really should be leading those discussions as a way to destigmatize the disease. To say, hey, we see you, we know that this is happening. We can have support from World Health Organization or CDC, but it really does need to be led, I believe, by people in the community.
And so a smallpox vaccine is available to high-risk groups in certain countries. But then again, this has also sparked debate on social media, with certain users like this one judging that this is actually unfair, whilst others support a targeted campaign aimed at gay and bisexual men as well as trans women as a priority. But what's certain here, Helena, is that public health authorities will have to work on the messaging in order to prevent further marginalization of the LGBTQ community.
All right, Sophia, there on an important question. Sophia, thanks a lot. Well, coming up, what do you dream of doing in your retirement? Gardening, perhaps, finally taking up painting. How about making beer? We meet an older generation in Austria, keeping hip while brewing hops. Stay with us.
However, of course, with Sweden's desire to join NATO, it's not really a good sign that Turkey once again is warning about stopping Sweden's opportunities or even possibilities of joining NATO. Perberg First Nyberg, Sweden.
Well, the price of natural gas has surged to levels not seen in months after Russian energy giant Gazprom further reduced deliveries through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline to just 20% of capacity. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Moscow of trying to inflict price terror and said Europe must respond with yet more sanctions. The Kremlin is blaming technical problems, an explanation that German authorities have dismissed. On Monday, EU energy ministers agreed to reduce gas consumption by 15% in an effort to shore up storage levels in case Moscow turns off the taps altogether. Well, in Brussels for us this evening is our correspondent Shona Murray. We can cross over to her now. So, Shona, what we've seen is Russia pulling the trigger today, throttling gas supply as promised. Gas prices are soaring in response to that. But I wonder there in Brussels, what's happening with anxiety levels about the coming winter? Are we also seeing an upward trend there as well?
Well, I mean, this is all to be expected. The EU's position is to prepare for a full shutdown of Russian gas to the European Union, and they feel that that threat is essentially being materialised. We know from the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline, it was already operating at 40% capacity. That's been reduced by half to 1/5. And so the point yesterday, I think, is being well made by the EU, which was that each member state has to reduce by 15% its gas demand, albeit with those derogations that we discussed. But there is obviously anxiety because of the fact that without gas or a proper gas supply, you could see Germany going into recession, the EU going into recession. So there has to be preparations made for that, essentially, for that actually happening. But the EU's position is maintained, which is that Russia is weaponising gas and energy and putting pressure on the West and the European Union to essentially dissipate its support for Ukraine. So this is really all part of what they expected in terms of what Vladimir Putin was going to do.
Meanwhile, Shona, today we've also had the European General Court upholding an EU-wide ban on RT. So essentially this means that the Russian state TV channel won't be coming back anytime soon.
That's right. The RT France took this decision to court, the European Court of Justice, based on the breach of freedom of expression and discrimination. The court held that essentially RT is a tool of the Kremlin and has been used to engage in a propaganda war, grossly distorting facts and information, targeting civil society, and therefore the decision by the EU to ban it was not a breach of freedom of expression, but essentially proportionate and necessary. The decision can be appealed to the ECJ, the European Court of Justice, so we'll probably see RT doing that. But for now, the General Court very much upholding, for all the aforementioned reasons, that decision by the EU to ban RT. Helena?
Shona Murray there bringing us the latest from Brussels. Thanks for that, Shona. The summer holiday rush is well underway across Europe, but many would-be travellers have been stalled en route as train and airline staff walk out over demands for more pay and better working conditions. Richard Cady reports now.
There has been major travel disruption in Germany today, with over 1,000 Lufthansa flights cancelled on Wednesday due to one-day strike action taken by the airline's German ground staff. About 134,000 passengers were affected and forced to either change or cancel their travel plans altogether.
Lufthansa did not make an adequate offer in the first two rounds of negotiations, and it's time for the employees to give their opinion now before the third round of negotiations. We hope Lufthansa will not provoke another one in the future.
Lufthansa's main hubs in Frankfurt and Munich were the most affected. But flights were also cancelled in 7 other major cities, including Berlin.
Yes, we unfortunately had to cancel over 1,000 flights in Frankfurt and Munich together because of this massive strike by Verdi, which means that well over 100,000 people can't take their vacation today. And that's really a bitter day for an airline.
After 2 years of COVID-19 restrictions, people are travelling once again in huge numbers, overwhelming airlines and airports that don't have enough workers after pandemic-era layoffs. Meanwhile, Britain's railway network has once again been severely disrupted by industrial action. This follows a 24-hour strike by over 40,000 workers. The dispute centres on pay, working conditions and job security. Richard Cady, Euronews.
Well, still to come, a long-time aide of Hungary's Prime Minister quits, slamming Orban's recent comments on race and multiculturalism as, quote, a pure Nazi text. We'll have reaction from the Hungarian capital after the break.